Welcome to the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with all the resources you need to become a successful author. You can learn more about Authors Unite and join the free community at authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today I have Al Lewis with us. He is the CEO of Quizzify, which is the country's leading employee health literacy company. So welcome to the show, Al.
Thank you very much for having me on, Tyler.
Of course. Appreciate you coming on. We'll dive into the first one. The first question I have for you, Al, is what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
Well, the best story from my life is that I was once hosting a radio show down in the NPR affiliate in Washington, D.C., and they told me that my voice sounded like I have a cold. Newsflash, this is my voice. And I had thought I had a deviated septum because somebody told me that. I called my primary care doc who set me up with an ENT, and I went in to see this ENT who looked in my nose, told me I had polyps, that I needed a CAT scan and I needed surgery. And I had enough sense to pass on those things, even though they would have been covered. And I called the producer of the show, and she said, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll just give you some tea with honey. You'll be fine." But most people would have gotten a CAT scan of the skull plus surgery to solve this problem. That's when I decided to start Quizzify.
And what is the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
That far more people are harmed by getting too much healthcare than not enough.
Okay. And what is your best piece of overall business advice, or not necessarily industry specific?
It's not to start a company unless you are prepared to lose a lot of money for a considerable period of time before it catches on.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
It would be I should have worked on my forehand throwing the frisbee much more than I worked on my backhand.
I love that. And in your opinion, what's the key to happiness?
The key to happiness is finding the right person to share your life with and making sure all your bills are paid and you have something left over at the end of the month.
And what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
The best business book I read was called Service Guarantees by a guy named Christopher Hart, who's fallen off the radar screen. But basically, he said that the way to solve the way to solve service problems is number one, guarantee your outcomes, and number two, when you have an issue, don't wait for people to complain. Simply jump on it and offer them, a free month or 10% or something like that. Because the longer you stonewall, the more you have to offer them to put a smile back on their face.
And what is your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote is, it's impossible to convince somebody of something when their livelihood depends on believing the opposite.
Well, listen, man, thank you so much for coming on. The last question I have for you before we let you go is, where is the best place for people to find you online?
It's www.quizzify.com, and just play the game and hit contact us if you like the game.
Amazing. Thank you again, man, for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Tyler.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.